Y'all better strap in because what I'm about to reveal is going to send shockwaves through the entire NFL universe. This ain't your run-of-the-mill locker room chatter. This is championship-tier drama that's got me fired up and locked in. Stay with me until the very end because I'm dropping some cold hard truths that every single Chiefs fan needs to hear. Drop a W in the comments if you still believe in the king. Drop an L if you think the dynasty is slipping. And don't forget to smash that subscribe button while you're at it. Now listen closely, because what we've got brewing in the NFL right now has more plot twists than a primetime thriller. And I'm here to break it all down for you, step by jaw-dropping step. See, I've been around this league long enough to know when somebody's blowing smoke, and right now, Miami is lighting up the sky with delusional fireworks. There's a certain wide receiver down in South Beach who's been flapping his gums like he's already got next year's Lombardi trophy sitting on his nightstand. Now, don't get me wrong, confidence is essential in this league. You need swagger to survive. But there's a fine line between confidence and full-blown delusion. And after hearing what this dude had to say, I started wondering if too much Florida sun is frying some brain cells. Let me remind y'all who we're talking about. The Kansas City Chiefs, not just any football team, the reigning titans of the NFL, a dynasty built on excellence, 3 consecutive Super Bowl appearances, back-to-back titles, a blueprint for sustained dominance. This empire wasn't built on hype, it was forged through brilliant drafting, tactical free agency moves, and a championship culture that breeds winners. Since 2020, no team, let me repeat, no team has reached the mountaintop more consistently than Kansas City. While others flap their jaws about greatness, the Chiefs were out there proving it week after week. Players have come and gone, cap space has tightened, critics have chirped, yet through it all, Kansas City kept stacking wins and raising banners. That's the dividing line in this league, the difference between pretenders and certified contenders. But apparently some folks got amnesia when it comes to recognizing greatness. Now, let's talk about this former Chiefs receiver. Yeah, the one who used to catch passes from Patrick Mahomes and bask in the glow of championship culture. He knew what it felt like to be part of a machine that wins when the lights are brightest. And now, he's in Miami, chirping like the Dolphins are about to steamroll the AFC like it's 1972 all over again. Again, I respect belief. I respect grit. But belief without results? That's just noise. Let's not forget, the Miami Dolphins haven't won a single playoff game since the year 2000. Let that marinate. That's before smartphones, before social media, before half the league was even born. While Kansas City's been hoarding Lombardi trophies like collector's items, Miami's been stockpiling heartbreaks and early offseason tea times. But none of that seems to matter when a podcast mic is hot and a platform's waiting. This guy boldly declared that the Dolphins are taking the AFC, not contending, not making a run, taking it like the AFC is a clearance rack they can just scoop up at checkout. The nerve, the unfiltered audacity. You telling me a franchise that hasn't sniffed playoff success in 2 decades is just going to waltz through a conference that includes juggernauts like Kansas City, Baltimore, and Cincinnati? Please, that's not confidence. That's a fantasy. But wait, it gets even wilder. This same wideout had the gall to say his quarterback is the best in the league. Let me say that again, the best in the entire NFL. Now, I've heard hot takes, but this one had me checking if I was watching a comedy sketch. We talking about the same QB who's never won a playoff game? The one with more concussion scares than playoff completions? The one quarterbacking a team that's made a habit of letting fans down when it counts? Meanwhile, Patrick Mahomes, the generational talent, sits comfortably in Kansas City with 2 Super Bowl rings, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, and a regular season MVP. He's redefining the quarterback position while others are still trying to get through Wild Card Weekend. But sure, the South Beach Fantasyland says otherwise. What we're witnessing isn't just trash talk. It's a textbook case of emotional overcompensation. This receiver left greatness in Kansas City, and now he's trying to convince the world and himself that he's somehow upgraded. It's like walking away from the Patriots during their dynasty and claiming the Jets are the next Super Bowl favorites. Let's be honest, this exposes a deeper flaw in the mindset of certain players today. There's a vast difference between bold belief and blinding delusion, between speaking like a champ and proving you're one. The Chiefs didn't become a dynasty on accident. They didn't trip into greatness. This was a masterclass in long-term vision, built by a front office that knows how to construct a roster, coached by a legend who's been orchestrating elite football for decades. Andy Reid, he's not guessing, he's executing with precision drawn from decades of gridiron genius. And Patrick Mahomes, he's not just a quarterback, he's a phenomenon. A once-in-a-generation talent with nerves of steel and vision that cuts through defenses like a surgeon's blade. When the stakes are sky high, Mahomes rises. He's ice cold under pressure, and he thrives where others crumble. Let's not forget Travis Kelce either, the most consistent and lethal tight end in the game. Mr. Reliable, a walking mismatch, the heartbeat of the offense. For years, this man has been Patrick Mahomes' ultimate safety valve, a clutch playmaker in the tensest moments, a leader in the locker room, and the embodiment of everything a championship-caliber team demands. He's not just another player in pads, he's a tone setter, a culture carrier, a true chief through and through. From top to bottom, the Kansas City Chiefs organization understands the formula for greatness. From the front office orchestrating savvy personnel moves to the coaching staff dissecting weaknesses and crafting elite game plans, everything they do is singularly focused on one outcome: raising Lombardi trophies. That's why they've dominated, that's why they will continue to dominate. But down in Miami, they're living in an alternate universe. They're shouting about taking the AFC when they can't even consistently conquer their own division. They're crowning their quarterback as the best in the league while the man has spent more time in the blue medical tent than the red zone. It's like watching someone claim they're about to summit Mount Everest when they're still struggling to catch their breath on the stairs. Sure, the Dolphins have had their flashes. They've fielded electric players and flirted with relevance. But moments of excitement are not the same as building a dynasty. Playoff football isn't won on microphones or social media. It's earned under stadium lights when the pressure is suffocating and the margin for error is zero. This wide receiver, now comfortably lounging in South Beach, recently spoke about how emotional it would be to face his old team in the AFC title game. But here's the reality check. Before you can fantasize about conference championships, you have to make the playoffs. Before you dream of title contention, you have to win a single playoff game, something Miami hasn't done since the year 2000. That's not just putting the cart before the horse, it's building the parade float before you've even qualified for the race. This is the fundamental distinction between champions and dreamers. Champions obsess over preparation, consistency, and execution. Dreamers talk about destiny without putting in the daily work. Champions understand that respect is earned through sweat, grit, and results. The Chiefs didn't demand the spotlight, they took it by rising under pressure and delivering when it mattered most. That's the DNA of a dynasty. That's the standard. His energy? Relentless. His execution? Veteran level. By the time conditioning drills wrapped, Smith looked less like a prospect and more like a polished pro. Andy Reid isn't known for dishing out unearned praise, so when he said, "I like what he does, he's got good speed and he's a good route runner for a running back," these OTAs are tough, but he's done a good job with everything we've asked. It meant something. These aren't generic coach-speak compliments. They're signals. Signals that Smith may be carving out a serious role behind Isaiah Pacheco, who enters 2025 on a one-year prove-it deal. Smith offers versatility galore: jet sweeps, inside bursts, slot mismatches, and even special teams electricity. Picture Mahomes on 3rd and short, glancing toward Smith in the flat, or splitting him out wide to exploit mismatches. If this offseason surge carries into live action, Kansas City may have struck late-round gold. And in Andy Reid's laboratory of offensive innovation, Smith could very well become the next secret weapon. Proof that game changers aren't always found in round one. Meanwhile, in the trenches, 70 line is at a pivotal juncture where games are truly won. Kansas City's offensive line is at a pivotal juncture. Last season, the Chiefs masked O-line inconsistencies with creative play calling, but those cracks shattered under the Super Bowl spotlight. Protection failed. The offense stalled. The loss was decisive and revealing. Determined to rebuild the wall, the Chiefs made bold offseason moves. They signed veteran tackle Jalen Moore to a 2-year, $30 million zero-cents deal and invested their first-round pick in Josh Simmons, a once top-tier prospect whose stock slid after a patellar tendon tear. Now, the battle for the blind side has ignited a 3-man war set to rage through training camp. According to NFL insider Michael Silver, there could be 3 legit position battles on Kansas City's offensive line this summer. Only center Creed Humphrey and Pro Bowl guard Trey Smith are locked into starting roles. Left guard Mike Caliendo and others, their spots are anything but secure. Right tackle Jawaan Taylor may find himself relegated to backup duty when the Chiefs open their 2025 campaign. Aside from Creed Humphrey, the rock of Andy Reid's zone blocking scheme, and Pro Bowl guard Trey Smith, who notably skipped OTAs amid ongoing contract negotiations, there are no guaranteed starters on the offensive line. Left guard Mike Caliendo and Taylor, despite their experience, are now hearing unsettling murmurs about their future, as second-year tackle Kingsley Suamataia steadily climbs the depth chart with each rep. But the real spotlight is fixed on Jalen Moore and Josh Simmons, now locked in a high-stakes duel that could reverberate well beyond the September 5 season opener in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Lurking beneath the surface is a complex financial chess match. Jawaan Taylor carries a massive $27 million 0-cents cap hit in 2025, making him a prime candidate for trade or release by 2026. Meanwhile, Moore's escalating contract over $18 million, 0 cents, next season virtually cements his roster spot barring catastrophic underperformance. Should Simmons seize the left tackle position, Moore would pivot to the right, effectively pushing Taylor into a backup role. The end result? Kansas City could enter the season with two highly paid linemen standing on the sidelines. This seismic reshuffling, driven by hefty contracts, elite rookie talent, and win-now urgency, will determine whether Mahomes can operate without a constant blindside threat. The pressure is mounting. Every snap this summer counts. Every rep is under the microscope. And reputations? They're hanging by a thread. Just as the Moore vs. Simmons clash appeared locked in stalemate, ESPN's Adam Teicher dropped a bombshell. If Josh Simmons passes his medical recheck, he's expected to start at left tackle in Week 1. This revelation sent shockwaves through the fan base. Handing a rookie, fresh off a torn patellar tendon, the keys to Mahomes' blindside is a bold gamble. Patellar injuries are notoriously difficult for big linemen to recover from. Yet Teicher's sources suggest Simmons not only looks fully healed, but has impressed coaches with both power and knee stability during OTAs. A 21-year-old post-injury rookie potentially anchoring the most important position on the line, that's unheard of. And yet, here we are. If Simmons does secure the job, Moore's journey pivots, either sliding to right tackle or warming the bench. This shift puts the spotlight back on Jawaan Taylor. After a season marred by penalties and a lackluster Super Bowl showing, he now faces a make-or-break audition to justify his 4-year, $80 million 0 cents deal. Youth versus experience, health versus contract, upside versus legacy. This is more than a camp battle. It's a career crossroads. But while internal wars rage on the offensive line, whispers from outside the building are growing louder. Analyst Anthony Palacios of Last Word on Sports has stirred debate with a provocative idea: trade for Raiders tight end Michael Mayer now, before Travis Kelce's twilight dims the offense. They were missing their two most explosive weapons for the majority of the season, Marquise Hollywood Brown and Rashee Rice. These weren't just any receivers. They were the blueprint for a new era in KC's aerial assault, set to take the offense back to peak Tyreek Hill-level dominance. But instead of fireworks, we got silence. Just 4 combined games of action from Brown and Rice. Imagine removing Jamar Chase and T. Higgins from the Bengals for a full season, or CeeDee Lamb and Brand Cooks from the Cowboys. That's what Kansas City endured and still made a Super Bowl run. But here's where it gets spine-tingling. While the NFL was prematurely writing the Chiefs' obituary, something extraordinary was happening behind the curtain. These guys didn't sulk, they grinded. They trained, they prepared to return with vengeance. Rashee Rice, on a mission. Reports out of camp say he looks faster, sharper, and more dialed in than ever before. That hunger you only get from being counted out, he's got it. Hollywood Brown, torch mode. He's been lighting up minicamp, burning DBs, turning slants into 6 points, and looking every bit like the deep threat assassin the Chiefs envisioned. He's healthy, focused, and ready to remind the league who he is. And then there's the quiet storm. Xavier Worthy. A breakout late in his rookie campaign, this kid's rise has been electric. With elite raw talent, relentless work ethic, and growing chemistry with Mahomes, he's quickly becoming the X factor no one saw coming. Now combine all three, Rice, precise route runner with glue hands. Brown, explosive vertical threat who forces safeties to sweat. Worthy, ascending star with limitless upside. You've got a WR trio that can attack from every angle. A three-headed monster built to annihilate any defense. And it's not just hype. Former Chiefs wideout Garrick Dieter recently declared on social media, hard to name a better WR trio right now than what the Chiefs have. The dynasty isn't dying, it's evolving. So to every defensive coordinator in the NFL, you better study the tape, say a prayer, and brace yourself, because the Kansas City Chiefs are about to unleash an offensive onslaught that'll make 2018 look like a warm-up. When a former player, someone who's lived inside the system, breathed the culture, and earned his stripes, makes a statement like that, you better believe it's coming from a place of authentic insight. But here's what elevates this moment into something truly electrifying. And the fact that Kansas City and Miami aren't even scheduled to meet in the regular season makes this whole drama even more laughable. Talking about playoff matchups with teams you're not even guaranteed to see, it's like writing your victory speech before you've even qualified for the tournament. But here's what truly stings: the blatant disrespect toward an organization that's been a model of class and excellence. The Chiefs didn't just win, they did it the right way. They played hard, led with integrity, and elevated the standard for what a championship team should look like. And now you've got former players taking pot shots at the very franchise that gave them the platform to win? That's not swagger, that's betrayal. That's not confidence, it's entitlement masquerading as gratitude. And let's be honest, the entire league is studying Kansas City's blueprint. Teams are dissecting the draft strategy, offensive mechanics, and organizational rhythm. But here's the catch: you can't copy culture, you can't replicate chemistry, and you can't Photoshop leadership. The Chiefs have alignment from ownership to quarterback. No ego battles, no chaos, just a unified mission to win, again and again. Meanwhile, Miami has been spinning its wheels for decades, bogged down by staff turnover, quarterback drama, and perpetual instability. You can't construct a dynasty on quicksand, and you damn sure can't build a Super Bowl roster when your foundation keeps collapsing. That receiver, what he fails to grasp is this: in the NFL, confidence without results is just empty noise. This is a league driven by production. Records, playoff wins, titles. That's what counts. The rest is just podcast filler. And Kansas City? The numbers speak louder than any soundbite. 3 straight Super Bowl appearances. He rings a sustained era of dominance. That's not luck. That's surgical execution at the highest echelon of football. So when I hear someone say Miami is taking the AFC, I laugh. When I hear them anoint their QB as the best, I cringe. And when I hear former champions trashing the very franchise that molded them, I speak. Because here's the truth: until someone beats Kansas City when it matters, under the postseason spotlight, they remain the rulers of the AFC. They've earned that crown. The rest of the conference is just chasing their ghost. And you better believe this whole saga is going to fuel the fire. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, the whole damn team is going to turn this disrespect into jet fuel. They're coming into this season with receipts and a point to prove. So mark my words, when the dust settles and playoff battles have been fought, we're not going to be talking about Miami's dream of a championship run. We're going to be talking about Kansas City's reign again, because in the NFL, champions are made on the gridiron, not behind a podcast mic. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you still riding with the Chiefs Kingdom, or are you buying into the Miami hype? Smash that like button if this fired you up. And don't forget to subscribe for the realest, rawest NFL analysis in the game.